10 players who returned to their old clubs as massive flops. In most cases, we've witnessed players who left their clubs where they seem not to be really doing a great job, to become huge successes in other clubs. But have you ever stopped to wonder what happened when you flipped the coin? This brings us to these 10 players who had left the club when they became successful, only to return being behind in their performances in their new clubs. To start the list, Chelsea seems to have its way with players in a way that seems not to be so pleasant, and we will start with what they had done with Fernando Torres. Torres had his first stint with Atletico between 2001 and 2007, and later moved to Atletico Madrid in 2007. His performance while with both clubs was nothing short of amazing, but his story was about to have a little shake with the move to Chelsea in 2011. Something didn't just seem to be right with the move, as the player lost touch with his form and wasn't as great as he usually was. He later moved back to Atletico for his second stint in 2015. He retired from professional football in 2019 and now exploring his options as a coach. He currently manages Atletico Madrid Juvenil A, the under-19 team of his former club, Atletico. There also seemed to be a little miscalculation in the case of Romelu Lukaku. Despite his stellar performance with Inter Milan, going back to Chelsea didn't seem to work out for this player. Lukaku seemed to have lost his charm when he got signed by Chelsea. Chelsea brought Lukaku back to Stamford Bridge in August of 21 for a club record fee of $115 million, making him the highest paid player at the club. They couldn't have been so much bothered at the amount, given that they had hoped he would be a great addition to the club. I mean, he just helped Inter Milan win the Series A title. Thomas Tuchel's methods might just not have been for the player. And let's be honest, we might just be expecting too much from Lukaku, as it just seems Chelsea has lost touch with what it means to win the season. Whatever the case, Lukaku has found himself back to Inter on loan, with the hope of getting back in touch with his old self. Jadon Sancho has unfortunately found himself in the category of players at the moment. 2021 came with high hopes for United fans, as they were on track to sign one of Borussia Dortmund's golden boys. But things just didn't work out as planned. With Manchester United, Sancho seemed to struggle with the different playing style that they had and had been quite unable to replicate the success he had while with Dortmund. Describing his stay in United as a total flop might just be too harsh on the player, as the team as a whole doesn't seem to have it together. But it's safe to say that he was unable to justify the £73 million that United had paid to sign him. In what seems to be a shot at redemption, United has just loaned him back to Borussia Dortmund for the rest of the season. Maybe being close to his roots, where he had made quite a mark, might just be the jolt the player needs to get back on track. Also, his fallout with Ten Hag didn't seem to help his future with United. The loan deal was finalized on January 10th, and we hope to see an amazing performance once more from this player. Luka Jovic makes it to the list, considering his performance when he moved from Eintracht Frankfurt to Madrid in 2019. This was a grace-to-grass story, as the player wasn't able to live up to the expectations that came with the signing. Some factors might have been responsible for the downward spiral, which might include the fact that Jovic faced intense competition for playing time from Benzema, a world-class established striker in his prime at the time. He might have also struggled to adapt to Real Madrid's system and playing style, which often placed less emphasis on traditional center-forward play. Consequently, Jovic's confidence took a hit, leading to inconsistent performances and a lack of clinical finishing. He didn't quite get back into character when he returned to Frankfurter in 2021, but he is currently back on track with Milan. Now, let's mention at this point that Chelsea seems to be doing a thing with these players, where they captured them at the top of their career and managed to pull them back down. Let's look at the case of Timo Werner, a one-time booming talent with the RB Leipzig. Things seemed to turn around for the worse for the player, following his move to Chelsea in 2020, where he seemed to have lost touch with his performance in his old club. Chelsea got him from Leipzig for a really significant fee, with the usual high expectations, and let's just say, things didn't work out that way. Consequently, the player found himself back in Leipzig in 22, but hasn't really been able to get things right as he used to. Maybe things will turn for the better later on, but Werner just seems to have lost his touch. Moving on from Chelsea, Barca seems to have done its blow to Antoine Griezmann's confidence on the pitch when he moved to join them in 2019 from Atletico. Barca paid a whopping $120 million for Griezmann, making him the 5th most expensive signing in football history at the time. Fans and pundits saw him as the missing piece in their attack, someone who could partner with Lionel Messi to form a truly dominant force. But that was a dream that never materialized. The player turned out to just not be in tune with the club's formation and style, and the changes in the club's management at the time seemed to have affected the player in a number of ways. He had to move back to his old club in 21 on loan, and given his revival with Atletico, the permanent move back to the club didn't come as a surprise. Again, Radamel Falcao makes this list as one of the players who has lost touch with his old self with the move from Monaco to Manchester United. United watered down the player's confidence, following a spell of poor performance and failure to score as much as he did back with Monaco. Many believe that this must have had something to do with United's style of play at the time. He miraculously found his form when he moved back to his old club. So rather than blame the player totally for his flop, we might want to look beyond what Manchester might have been doing wrong as a team, because it seemed Monaco had what it took to pull the player back on his feet. Just like the other players, Wilfried Zaha seems to have had the roller coaster ride from Crystal Palace to Manchester United and back to Crystal Palace. Zaha rose through the ranks of Crystal Palace's youth system, quickly becoming a fan favorite for his electrifying skills and pace. In 2013, at the young age of 20, he attracted the attention of footballing giants Manchester United, led by the legendary Sir Alex Ferguson. Things didn't quite work out for the player in the club, as he saw even less playing time under David Moyes and made only 4 appearances. All these prompted a move back for the player to Crystal Palace for a fraction of the original price. First, the move was on a loan, but he later moved back permanently, and his fire reignited with the club and has continued to do great things with the club ever since. What about Mario Götze? As a part of Dortmund's youth academy, Götze broke into the scene as a talented playmaker with exceptional talent and vision. He achieved great success with Dortmund, winning the Bundesliga titles in 2011 and 2012, and reaching the Champions League final in 2013. He scored the iconic winning goal for Germany in the 2014 World Cup final, solidifying his status as a national hero and one of the most promising young talents in world football. His move to Bayern wasn't all rosy, and he later made a return to Dortmund, though he was never able to get back to his old glory before he made his leap. He's currently living out his time in Frankfurt. Finally, we fire down to Leonardo Bonucci, who was a key player for Juventus before the surprising switch to AC Milan in 2017. He was lauded for his leadership, tactical intelligence, and composure on the pitch, nicknamed Bonacciano, for his elegant defending style. When the news of his move to Milan emerged, fans were caught off guard, and it later turned out that the player was having some fracas with the club's management. The guess is that he hoped to find his way up to the top of AC Milan in no time, given his performance with Juventus, but that didn't happen. Bonucci was faced with inconsistency in the club and made a turn back to his old club, only a year after he moved. Took a while for him to win back the confidence of Juventus fans, but he was able to find his form again on the pitch. Moving isn't always a great idea for every player. It works for some, but has been the downfall of many. And there you have it. These are some of the few players with this fate we've been able to fish out. Are there some other players you remember to have shared the same fate? Mention them in the comments, and we'll be seeing you in the next video.